A Shalom Akim. First and foremost, I'm going to say, Call Halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Merkah Kudash, and double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, who taught us this truth and rule well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Merkah Kudash Barakatham. It's the brother Kazak coming back at it again with another lesson. And I don't know what this lesson is going to be titled yet. Haven't come up with a title, but this lesson is, going into, another thing that motivates, should motivate you in this thing of ours is the, restoration of us as a nation. You know what I'm saying? And not just the restoration, but we're going to be, not just, put back in our own land, but we're going to be above all the other nations in the world. We're going to be ruling above all the nations in the world, and what put the spirit on me to do this lesson. I was looking, a few things in social media, you know what I'm saying? I was looking at just the overall state that Jake is. And, as the time progresses, in here in this wicked, society, in this wicked world, Jake is just, waxing worse and worse. The more time progresses, you see, and it's happening, every so often, or should I say more often, as the time progresses, Jake just enters in a new low, as far as, what you see in the world, what they doing, you know what I'm saying? And that just a testament of the destruction of our people, starting with slavery, starting with, being downtrodden, being oppressed. Then it's the mental warfare. Our people just following, wicked trends and wicked lifestyles, that this devil puts to them, And at the end of the day, that made me think about this scripture here, the book of Lamentations, chapter 2, verse 15, and it says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee, and this is talking about these other nations. All right. And it says they hiss and they wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem. Our people, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is what these other nations think about you. Like that song from Ice Cube, here's what they think about you. All right, this is what they think about you. It says, is this the city called, it's like it, I'm going to read it again. Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth, right? Because that's what we are, as that's who we are as a people, okay? We are the perfection of beauty. We are the joy of the whole earth, because what the scripture says, we are the salt of the earth. Okay, all the style, all the trends, it comes from us, from the black, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. We're the ones, we're the former of all things, as the scripture says, whether it be, utility, whether it be things in society, things concerning, the mindset, in righteousness, right? And even in well, most importantly, in, things like style, athleticism, we're the salt of the earth. We're the most talented people on earth, but our current estate, is we're in hell. We're in this grave. We're under the curses. We're a byword in a proverb amongst these other nations that come and live, where Jake is living. They look down on you tribes, man. All right. They look down on you. They think they're better than you, and really it's the other way around. All right. Continuing on, verse 16, all thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. All right. And that's what they have done. They have swallowed us up, us going into this captivity, us losing our nationality, not knowing who we are. Now, the tribes, we live here, downtrodden. We live in poverty, in other, third world countries, continuing on. And it says, certainly this is the day that we have looked for. We have found and we have seen it. All right. And basically, that's going into their inward thoughts, their vain imaginations, them not trying to be under us, but them trying to be above us so they could be, whatever nation, that has that in their mind, which I believe is all of them, all the nations, want to have that preeminence, above the rest. Everybody wants to be the top nation. That's why, for example, today, you have China making the moves that they're making because they're trying to be the next, world power. They're trying to be the next people that call the shots. That's why, they want to do all that, so they could have that preeminence, which right now, in this, in the world as we know now, who has, who is on top right now, Esau, Edom. You know what I'm saying? That's why, the whole world, that's why they follow after his ways, but each and every, it's like each and every other one of these nations, they want the world to follow after them, too, man. They want to be the top nation as well. And that's why we having, all these things, come to pass. And it's really Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that's putting it in the spirit of these nations to come against each other. All right, which is not what the lesson is about. This lesson is more about the restoration of our kingdom. All right, the restoration of us as a nation. Because this is what these nations wanted. All right, pursuant to the book of Psalms, chapter 83. Okay, that to swallow us up, have us at the bottom, keep us from finding out to who we are, because in turn, that keeps us from coming back and repenting to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That's why they go through so much trouble to keep us in these keep us following these broken cisterns, keep us going into these different philosophies, different lifestyles, but you can't trump the prophecies, man. This only happened to us. All right. We only went down as a punishment for turning our backs on Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That's basically what happened. All right. So I'm going to continue on reading, and it reads, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai had done that which he had devised. He had fulfilled his word that he commanded in the days of old. He hath thrown down and hath not pitied. And he hath caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He hath set up the horn of thine adversaries. All right. And this is what happened as punishment. And ultimately, when it says, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai hath done that which he devised, and he hath fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. That's talking about the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 on down. Okay? Because what does it say? Roughly paraphrasing, roughly summarizing, from verse 15, it says there's gonna be a time, the day will come when we're gonna not keep the law, statutes, commandments, turn our backs on Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and as a result, as punishment, the Lord puts all these curses upon us. We get brought down as a nation. All right, our lands get conquered. We go into captivity. We go into poverty. The evil lie. You know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth, man. And all that adds up to the current predicament that we're in right now, being under these curses. All right, being at the bottom, being a non-desirable nation, as the scripture says, O nation, non-desired, because these heathens are our enemies, man. They're not for us. Okay, each and every one of them. That's why each and every one of them is going into slavery, man, because this is what they, this is how they celebrated, and this is what they thought, when we went down as a nation. Okay, they were waiting for us to go down. They were waiting for us to go off, so they could, so the Lord could jack us up, and they could be on top. But this is not in their hands. All right, the dynamics of power does not rest on their hands. That's in the hands of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Okay, and by default, we're supposed to be the ones that's on top. There's no way that these heathens could slither their way into that position. And what proves that is we're going to go to the book of Second Esdras chapter, no, not Second Esdras, the book of First Samuel's chapter 2. All right, and we're going to start at verse 6. And it reads, Yahweh Shem Yahushai killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. All right, and this goes to show the power that Yahweh Shem Yahushai has on these things. It's he who kills, it's he who makes alive. It's he who brings down to the grave, meaning to, to be, diminished, to be destroyed. And it's he who bringeth up, meaning he can restore you, from being in the grave, from being at the bottom. If he wills it, he could have it to where you come back up, and this is parabolic, because it could, go on a small level, maybe, you make wrong moves, you hit rock bottom, and then, your luck, I don't want to say luck, but then, the way things happen changes, you know what I'm saying? Basically your luck, which is really not luck, is the favor of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. He decides, okay, well, you make your moves right. He puts the spirit on you, to make moves, and then you get back up, which this thing is not about, that, but, looking at it in a grander scale, the same applies with the nations, like, for example, Esau, Edom, which we're getting ready, to read, and this, applies to him as well. Esau, he was, in the dark ages, he was living in them caves. He was living in the Caucasus Mountains. They were living as beasts. They're living a feral lifestyle. And the laws, him being the base of men, and the laws, not being how do I put it? The laws not being taught to them because they're heathens. You already know, what I'm saying, what type of abominations and wickedness they were doing when they was in the mountains, man. So fast forward, now he's at the top, through the Renaissance, what I'm saying, him coming out of them caves, at the end of the Dark Ages. Now he's supposed to be the standard of society. He's supposed to be the, basically the standard of what it is to be of civilization. I'm gonna repeat it again. Now he's, he went from living in the caves, living in the wilderness, braying in the bushes, to being the standard of civilization. And do you think he did this on his own? No. This was because Yahweh Shem Yahushai raised him up to punish us. Okay? So I'm going to continue on. Let me see how much time I got left on my phone for 9%. Okay. So to continue on, and it reads, Yahweh Shem Yahushai maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. Right? So, hey, that's the, the previous example I gave. You might hit rock bottom, and then you might, bounce back from that. I should have just said that to keep it short. All right. But verse 8, and it reads, He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are Yahweh Shem Yahushai's, and he hath set the world upon them. Okay, so that shows you who really is in charge. And these nations are not in charge of that, man. These nations, they're the only reason why they are in the position that they're in now, starting with, the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, is because of our punishment. All right. So verse 18, and it reads, Their heart cried unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, O wall of the daughter of Zion, let tears run down like a river day and night. Give thyself no rest. Let not the apple of thine eye cease. And that's what that is, man. You know what I'm saying? Which I think this is going into, something else. Where it says, O wall of daughter of Zion, let thy tears run down like a river day and night. Going into our suffering. Hey, for example, you have something, with the so-called Native Americans, All right. You have something called the Trail of Tears, which I'm not trying to say, this is talking about that, but that's an example of suffering and sorrows that our people had to go through. Look up what happened with the Trail of Tears, how all the atrocities that this devil made against our people. It says, give thyself no rest, let not the apple of thine eye cease, So continuing on, you know what I'm saying? Because that's going into how these other nations, they wanted us to be at the bottom. All right. So moving on to the next verse. All right. Now we're going to go into how the Lord is about to restore us. Because if you look at everything that's going on in the world, all right, it's all for the restoration of our people. Okay. Russia, the increasing tensions between, NATO and Russia, the increasing tensions between the U.S. and China. This is Yahweh Shem Shai making his moves for our restoration. Lord willing, we're of that number, because it's going to be the elect. It's going to be the first fruits of the kingdom. The elect is going to be the first to experience the kingdom. So verse 21. All right. So Lamentations chapter 4, verse 21, and it reads, "Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shall make thyself naked." All right. Basically, going into how, this devil is also going to get jacked up, and not just this devil. All right. But all these other nations as well, for their hand in the destruction and the oppression of our people. Okay. And what further proves that, all right, we're going to switch to the other sword, is we're going to go into the book of Zechariah chapter 2 and 8. All right, let me see. Yeah, so book of Zechariah chapter 2 verse 8, and it reads, "For thus saith Yahweh Shem Shai of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you." Okay, so these are the nations that spoiled us. "For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye." And who's that referring to? Us, the children of Israel. We are the apple of Yahweh Shem Shai's eye. And what did it say? He that touches you touches the apple of his eye. So these nations that had a hand and had a part in our destruction and our captivity, as it is written in Revelations chapter 11, they sent gifts one towards another. What's that talking about? That's talking about us as slaves. They sent us as slaves one to another. That's why, you have things such as, the Acapulco slave trade, where they sent, Issacharites toward the Philippines, and then you had, some certain parts of, amongst the Ephraimites, the so-called Tainos, they were being sent to Europe, man. And you think the road stops at Europe? No, man, they were trafficked all over the world. And I'm gonna say the word traffic. They were sold all over the world, because it only starts at Europe. You have what is called the Silk Road. Different places. Not places, but different platforms where these heathens, trade one to another. You best believe we were being sold amongst these nations, man. We were being, like, literally, passed around these different nations, man. So continuing on, and it reads, "For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that Yahweh Shem Shai of hosts hath sent me." All right. So that's what's going to happen. All right. Verse 9. It reads again. I'm going to read it again. "For behold, I will shake mine hand upon them," meaning he's going to show his power upon them. And that's what he's doing. Okay. You look at how the world, you know what I'm saying, is unfolding, especially how these prophecies are unfolding, with how these things are transpiring, how the world is transpiring. That's Yahweh Shem Shai shaking his hand at them. You know what I'm saying? He's showing, his hand. He's bringing his hand forth, meaning his power. He's making his moves to set up our salvation, to bring us back in our own land. All right. And what does it say? "And they shall be a spoil to their servants." All right, so basically the oppressor, the ruler, which are these other nations, starting with Esau, Edom, are going to be a spoil unto their servants. And who is the servants? Us, the 12 tribes of Israel, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, and you also have the Israelite foreigners too, because they under the curses as well, man. You know, you go to different countries, foreign countries, you're going to see Jakes there. And these Jakes may look like these other nations, but when you look at how they're living, you look at how, their spirit, they're Israelites, man, because they have that salt and they under the curses. All right. So continuing on, and it reads, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and ye shall know that Yahweh Shem Shah of hosts hath sent me, because when we're back on top, all right, the name of Yahweh Shem Shah will be exalted. Okay. We're going to be the monument. That's another reason why they took us down too, because we were the monument of Yahweh Shem Shah. And these nations, they hate Yahweh Shem Shah. They want to set up their own, deities, their own idols. You know what I'm saying? That's another reason why they took us down, because they're the enemies of Yahweh Shem Shah, as it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 83. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult against thee, right? And against thy hidden ones. Who's that talking about? Right? So continuing on, we're going to go back to Lamentations chapter 4. All right. And it goes to verse 22. All right. Because we already, solidified the fact that, these devils are going to get judged. All right. Esau, Edom, they're going to get judged. And not just them, but these other nations as well, man. All right. For their hand in our destruction. All right. Lamentations chapter 4 and 22. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion, and he will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins, right? So that's what's going to happen. Okay, but as we just read, the punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion, and he will no more carry thee away into captivity. All right, so when we be delivered, that's the last go around, man. Okay, and that's the reason why Yahweh Shem Shah is moving the nations, against each other. He's setting the stage for our restoration, our what's it called? How do I put it to you? Yeah, basically our restoration and our salvation. And these other nations, he's gonna visit them. All right, starting with Esau, Edom, they're gonna go into slavery. All right. So with that, we're gonna go to the next precept. All right, the book of Isaiah chapter 14, and we're just going to read the first couple verses, and we're going to bring another scripture, and we're going to close out. All right, so book of Isaiah chapter 14 verse 1, and it reads, for Yahweh Shem Shai will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. All right, so as you see, the Lord is going to have mercy on us, and he still chooses Israel. All right, because here it is, we're made as the wicked of the world, man. And in some parts, our people, you know what I'm saying? You got wicked ass, people amongst us, man. Wicked ass Jakes that's in the nation, and I'm not talking about in Israel, but in the nation as a whole. You turn on the news, and you just see the wickedness that Jake be doing. And what happens as a result, Esau uses his wickedness to try to get Yahweh Shem Shai to pick them and choose them instead of us. That's why the scriptures say in Revelations chapter 12, he that accuses the brethren a day and night, because that's why, this devil, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has that title as his name, the devil. Because he always accuses us day and night. He always is running smear campaigns. You know what I'm saying? He's always, putting us as the face of crime, the face of terror. He's getting ready to do that now. The face of terror, black identity extremists. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately he does that, because in hopes to, that Yahweh Shem Shai will choose him and forsake us. But the Lord has already chosen. You know what I'm saying? Which really he has chosen, and it was set up to play out, the way it's playing out since before any of these things, existed, man. since the world began. All right, so since the foundation of creation, Esau was set to lose and we were set to win. So what we're witnessing now is what's playing out as it is written in the scriptures, man. Basically everything Esau is doing, to try and get the Lord to change his mind on us is in vain. All right, so continuing on in the reads, and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave unto the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh Shem Yahushai for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. All right, so that's what's going on, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. All right, those that were that we were serving in captivity to, all right, are going to be under us in captivity. All right, the captor is going to turn into the captive. Okay, that's what's going to happen. All right, and that's just, what I'm saying, going into one aspect of it. Basically it makes sense, man. All these nations that we served and that's over us, and oppress us, never gave us any rest, just let us, out to dry, if you will. You know what I'm saying? They're going to go into slavery and we're going to be above them. All right. And most importantly, we're not going to be at the bottom anymore. We're not going to be seen as a low hanging nation anymore. We're going to be exalted. All right. And what goes into that is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3. All right. And we're going to go, let me see where it's going to start. All right, so let me start at the book of Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 16. All right, and it reads, "In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, Fear thou not, and to Zion, Let not thine hands be slack. For Yahweh Shem Yahushai, thy power in the midst of thee is mighty, and he will save. He will rejoice over thee with joy, and he will rest in his love, and he will joy over thee with singing." All right, and that's going into the love and ultimately the mercy that Yahweh Shem Yahushai has for us. And as a result, in turn, he's going to deliver us, because that's how it was supposed to play out anyways. We went down, all right, and we're going to be delivered, starting with the elect, okay? We're going to be restored and exalted again, starting with the elect, all right? Verse 18, "And I'll gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn testimony, who are of thee." All right, that's talking about the elect, "to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out. And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame." You see? And that's like the key, point of the lesson right there. Us, now we in this, we downtrodden, we're bywords, we're seen as a low hanging nation. We're seen as a non-desirable, nation, man. These other people, they look down on us. We're in poverty. You know what I'm saying? Our people, are running around lost, committing wickedness and ultimately, abasing themselves. Really, that's the word I'm going to use, abasing themselves, degenerates. You know what I'm saying? But in the kingdom, man, now it's going to be a 180, a complete 180. We're going to be the standard of civilization. And we're going to do it better than these devils, man. All right, the kingdom is going to be 100 times better. I don't even want to say 100 times, but it's going to be a complete number of times better than what this devil has been able to put together and accomplish in his time. Because ultimately, man, we're going to have spiritual power, man. We're going to have luxury. We're going to have complete understanding of the elements and the creation in itself. So we're going to be able to rule grand and in righteousness, in a way that doesn't destroy the world. Because this devil, the way he's ruling, he destroys the world, man. Yeah, okay, he was able to make these, big cities and, all this technology, the pretty, city lights and city lights and things of that nature. But if you look at the oceans and all the trash that's going over there, is it really worth it, man? Is this really, how it could be done? No, man. All right. And in the kingdom, it's going to be seen how it's truly done, which, as the scripture says, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor hearts, conceived, how the kingdom of heaven is going to be. But I will say this, it's going to be much better than anything this devil could put together, man. All right. Let's see how much time we got left. 7%. Okay. So with that, I'm gonna continue on with the lesson. All right, and I'm gonna read verse 19 again. All right, it says, "Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee," meaning the curses. All right, us being in this predicament, in this low estate, being holes in the pockets, which that goes into the curses. All right, but that's what that's going into, and then too in the near future, Jacob's trouble, man. That's a big affliction right there. Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation. Being faced with that choice of either submitting to this devil or, being, left out in the elements, which we're not going to trust in this devil anyways, man. We trusting in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, but that's the crossroads that Esau is going to pose, is going to put, onto the tribes, man, which is going to result in the 2/3 of them, picking the wrong choice and being destroyed here in Babylon. You know what I'm saying? But continuing on, and it reads, "And I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out," the elect. "And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame." Because again, we're going to be back in our rightful position. We're going to be back on top. We're going to have spiritual power, and these nations will not be able to do anything. And really, also too, these nations are already praising us, man. Okay? These nations already follow after our ways, and that's a telling sign of who really has next. All right, who really is going to be the next one to rule. As the scripture says, Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right, verse 20, "At that time will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. For I will make you a name and a praise among all people of the earth, when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, said Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai." Okay, and that's what's, manifesting. This everything that's going on all around the world and even here on Babylon, is our captivity being turned back, being done away before our eyes. We're going to witness this salvation. We're going to witness being taken out of this low state and being put back on the top. All right. And that there is a motivator, to keep on, pushing in this truth, to keep on fighting the good fight, man. To be from the bottom and being, raised up to the top by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So, hey, Lord willing, it's an edifying lesson. Lord willing, this is a good exhortation, to the Akim out there, another, driving force, because, hey, man, you got, different brothers got different things that motivate them in this truth. It could be spiritual power. It could be, the Isaiah 4:1. It could be the rest, having rest, not having to wake up every single day and live the hamster wheel. You got different things that resonate with brothers that motivate them, man. And, this is just another thing, that's for motivation. So with that, I'm going to say shalom and on to the next.